Hi there, welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. Lately we've been discussing early American history. We talked in our last video about the Boston Tea Party. There were a lot of taxes passed by Great Britain, King George III and the British Parliament in the 1770s on the colonists. And finally the colonists got so fed up with it they had what you call a tea party in 1773, where they unloaded a ship full of tea in the Boston Harbor and threw all of the tea, almost 100,000 pounds, into the Boston Harbor. There was a protest against all these outrageous taxes. Why did the British Empire tax the colonies at this time so heavily? Well, they were trying to pay off a bunch of debt. And the colonists got tired of it. After this tea party, in 1773, King George III got so angry that he had Parliament pass a bunch of laws that the colonists called the Intolerable Acts. This is in 1774, among which were blockading the city of Boston. They blockaded the Boston Harbor. They didn't allow any ships to go in or out. And they stationed British soldiers throughout Boston in empty buildings or, schools or whatever like that were not currently in session, so that the British soldiers could keep an eye on the local population and basically try to kind of, what you would say, put the screws down on them. Basically, King George III insisted that the Boston city pay back approximately, in today's money, $3 million worth of destroyed tea. Pay that damage back to the East India Tea Company. Well, the colonists just flat out refused. They said, under no circumstances are we going to pay that back. We have been taxed, we have had it, and we're not going to comply. We don't want to be the subjects of King George III anymore. What does it mean to be a subject? It means that you have to do what somebody else says. You're under their thumb. Do you follow me? One of the things that about this series of videos that I'm trying to impress upon Emerson and anybody else watching is that history repeats itself over the course of time. And one of the main themes that repeats itself over time is that high taxes cause problems for governments and people. They cause revolt. And another theme that will come up is that it's very, very, very difficult to subjugate a foreign population over the long term. What does that mean, to subjugate a foreign population? Like I said earlier, to make someone a subject, to have them under your thumb, means you get to tell them what to do. You decide what's going to happen in their life. They are your subject. So to subjugate a population means you have a whole entire population under your thumb. You get to decide if they, what their quality of life is like. You dictate what's going on. A foreign population is a group of people who are not in your immediate country. They live next door or they live on the other side of the world, but they don't live in essentially your house. It's very, very, very difficult to subjugate a foreign population over the long term. What the heck am I talking about? For example, for a long time, India, the country of India, and what is now Pakistan, Bangladesh, I'll put up pictures on the map. For a long time, this was a colony of Great Britain. India was subject to British authority. Britain subjugated the Indian population for a long period of time, but they could not continue to do it indefinitely. In the late 1940s and 1950s, India broke away. They got out from underneath the thumb of Great Britain, and they were able to be their own boss. This is a theme I'm trying to impress upon my viewers. It's very, very difficult to control a foreign population over the long haul. You might be able to do it for a while, but it's very, very, very difficult. Think about it. Think about the whole world as like a neighborhood. And let's say there's somebody who has a big house in the neighborhood, and they decide, you know what, that house across the street over there, let's go take that house away from those people. And we say, we own it, and we're going to make you pay rent. Just because we want to, just because we feel like we can do it. So let's just all go over there and tell those people who live across the street, even though they own that house, that they got to pay us rent. Let's go. So you all, get up some baseball bats or whatever, and you walk across the street, bang on the door, and they come to the door and you say, hey, we own this house now, and you got to pay us $1,000 a month rent. Deal with it. The rent's due, so pay up. Give us $1,000. They're like, whoa, what do we do? These guys have got baseball bats. They look really tough. They got a lot more people in their house than we do. I guess we'll have to pay. But is that going to work for a long time? Well, probably not. For one thing, they might call the police. But what if there are no police in that neighborhood? Or what if the people who live in the big house have paid off the police and the police aren't going to do anything about it? Well, those people who live in that house across the street who have to pay this $1,000, they're probably not going to put up with it for very long. After a while, they might call their relatives who live, a couple blocks down the street, who are tough or who are difficult to deal with, and say, hey, guess what happened? These people who live in the big house across the street are charging us money to live in our own house. Can you help? They might be like, hey, yeah, we can help. They might get some big rocks and throw them through the windows of the big house. Or they might, I don't know, steal their dog. Whatever. They'll probably do something mean. Do you follow me? A lot of bad things can start to happen to the people who live in the big house who are charging the people across the street money to live in their own house. Do you follow me? You kind of doesn't work very well if you don't play by the rules and you go around bullying people to get them to do what you want. Over time, people build up resentment and they don't want to pay anymore. And they want to get back at you. America has run into issues like this, and we've got a current issue happening right now. Even as I speak, in August of 2026, America is in this conflict with a country called Iran on the other side of the world. It's not going very well. Typically, countries have a habit of getting into fights sometimes with countries who are next door or on the other side of the world. And it seems to, everybody kind of gets excited about it at first, and it seems to go well a lot of times in the beginning, but usually in the long term, it's very, very, very difficult. It's very difficult. And oftentimes it does not go well. That's what happened to King George III. He wanted to put the screws down on the colonists over here in America. He was stubborn, and he said, I'm going to make those people pay for all that tea they destroyed, all that $3 million. They are going to pay, no matter what. The colonists said, no, we're not paying anymore. And so they went to war. There was a couple of battles that broke out. I believe it was in 1775. And in 1776, a bunch of the leaders of the colonies, including Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, I believe, and John Adams, they all got together in a room and they created something called the Declaration of Independence. And it was passed and basically went into effect on July 4th, 1776. Well, what was in it? I'll put up a picture of the Declaration of Independence. What did it say? It said, number one, I'll put it up on the screen. It said, all people are created equal and have the right to life, liberty. Liberty is kind of like a word for freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. That's our basic rights as people, they said, is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The second basic part of the Declaration of Independence was that it is the main job of the government to protect these basic rights. It doesn't have to give the people, happiness, but it has to protect the right for them to be able to pursue it. Do you follow me? That's the job of the government, according to the colonists' beliefs, was to protect these basic rights. And the third thing in the Declaration of Independence, the main idea at the end was, if a government fails in this duty to protect these basic rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then it's the people's right to change that government or to start a new one. And they sent this Declaration of Independence off to King George and said, we have decided that we're going to create a new government over here in the colonies, and we're not going to be subject to the British government anymore. That's it. And they went to war, and in a thing that's called the Revolutionary War of America. And we'll talk about that more next time on English for Emerson. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.